and cameras turned off. If you have any questions, just enter them into the chat and we'll have time for a Q&A at the end of the presentation. I'd now like to introduce our speaker, Lauren Van Buren. She's the program manager at the Kelley and Dolan Memorial Fund in Ambler. Lauren is going to talk with us about the organization's mission and how they can help support families in need. Lauren, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lauren, and thank you for joining us today. I'm really happy to be here and for the opportunity to discuss our mission and hopefully become a resource for you guys. All right. So let's see. I'm from the Kelley and Dolan Memorial Fund. We are based in Ambler, PA, and we are founded in PA. And this is what we will be covering today. Really quickly, our origin story, how the fund was founded, our mission, the programs that we offer, how to apply to those programs, and then we'll do a quick frequently asked questions, and then open it up to Q&A at the end. Our origin story starts in 1972. Kelley Ann Dolan was born with a rare genetic blood disease, and this blood disease evolved into a leukemia diagnosis just before her second birthday. This diagnosis required many blood transfusions and hospitalizations throughout her childhood, and in that, the Dolan family was often at CHOP, living there for long periods of time with their child. During this experience, the Dolan funds created new neighbors at this hospital. They made friends with families who were in different areas of the hospital outside of oncology, and they witnessed them lose their jobs, their homes, and other much needed resources because they wanted to prioritize their child's health. That included being there for them emotionally, which sometimes they watched families, have to pick between holding their child's hand during their first chemo treatment or while they were losing their hair. And they thought that that was a really unfair choice that no parent should have to face. They saw that these problems were magnified, especially for single parent homes and grandparents acting as guardians. They also saw that siblings were greatly impacted. They saw this from their own point of view, in that Kellyanne had two sisters, and there was extreme emotional stress on both ends from watching their siblings and loved ones go through these stressors and lose financial stability as a result. And again, they thought as a couple, no family should have to choose between staying with an ill hospitalized child or having to go to work. In the summer of 1976, Kellyanne sadly passed away from her rare form of leukemia, and on the announcement of her obituary, they received funds via donation, and with that, they started the Kellyanne Dolan Memorial Fund. Her favorite colors were green and orange, and her favorite animal was a butterfly, so naturally, that's what they started with the logo, and it has remained the same ever since. So, although our origin story stems from this realization that experiences were sad and there weren't enough resources to help these families, they recognized that no matter what the child's diagnosis was, all the experiences and struggles remained the same. And so that is why they decided for our mission to be non-disease and non-diagnosis specific, which makes us pretty unique in the nonprofit space. Peggy Dolan, which Kellyanne's mother, says, "We're not here because Kellyanne died. We're here because she lived." And with that, we carry on her positivity and the light that she brought to this world by bringing and lifting up people in our community. We provide financial assistance through direct payment of bills. We also provide respite care, family fun days, advocating for families, and We also do education through local schools and other company programs. So our programs, as I just mentioned, summed up are financial assistance, respite care, support groups, Thanksgiving and holiday support, education, advocacy, and research. First thing I would like to clarify is financial assistance you can apply to, and we do have a maximum rewards. But if you apply to one, that means you're not limited to apply to others. So we encourage families to participate in all of our programs if they qualify. Meaning, if you receive financial assistance from us, we would be more than happy to provide Thanksgiving assistance and holiday support when the time comes around. All of our programs have the same qualifications, and that is age, location, medical diagnosis, financial strain, and we require that applications are submitted by a healthcare professional. So I will detail those a bit more. Our age requirement is that there is a child under the age of 18 years old with a medical diagnosis. We do make exceptions for individuals who are fully dependent, so unable to live life without direct and professional support on a day-to-day basis. And again, that is only up until 21 years old. We also require that this is a lifelong and long-term condition. For location, we require that the child is living in or receiving care in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Delaware. So an example of that is sometimes parents will come often to CHOP because of their amazing resources, and they could be from Texas, but because their child is receiving care at CHOP, they would qualify for our financial aid and our other programs. Medical diagnosis, as I said earlier, we are non-disease specific, so we only require that the child has a medical diagnosis from a medical professional, and that is why there is a requirement for applications to be submitted by medical professionals to kind of validate that diagnosis. Otherwise, we ask for no formal proof of diagnosis. We take the healthcare professional's word at its value. Then financial strain, obviously, we understand that any medical diagnosis can create financial strain, and we do require that it is a result of the child's diagnosis. To apply to any of our to apply to any of our programs, we require that a healthcare professional acts as a middleman for the family and the application. So they can be submitted online through our portal. It's a very simple process, and there are video directions for healthcare professionals, and I'm always available to take questions. Healthcare professionals are defined as, but not limited to, case managers, nurses, social workers, therapists. That could be occupational, physical, or mental health therapists, any specialist of any kind, or your primary care physician for your child. To clarify, we do require that this healthcare professional is working directly with the child. For example, please do not have a family friend who is a doctor applying on behalf. If you are a mom yourself and you're also a nurse, you have to be, we require that you are the healthcare professional applying works directly with the child in a medical professional setting. So that would not qualify. If you're a mom and a nurse, you have to have the child's nurse or social worker apply. Again, we have a very simple online application process for healthcare professionals. We understand, especially for social workers, that there can be big caseloads, and we try to make that as accessible and easy to do as possible. Our financial aid portal opens and closes. We try to do a major payout once a month at least. With that being said, if you do create an account and log on and you don't see a place to create a new application, that means we're on a temporary hold. and all you have to do is log back in another time to see if there is a link presenting itself. If there is a link presenting itself, that means we're open and you are free to create an application. Again, if you have any questions about the process, please feel free to reach out to me. It is easier for healthcare professionals to communicate with me for HIPAA reasons. And for example, sometimes children and parents don't share last names, and that can be complicated for me because I'm not going to disclose a child's diagnosis or payment information to someone who I cannot confirm is related. Financial assistance. So this is our largest program and it is run year-round. We cover essential needs that are not covered by insurance. Some of our core bills that we pay are housing, utilities, phone bills, transportation costs, and adapted equipment. Something we like to clarify is that we pay directly to the vendor or landlord/mortgage company, so families will not receive the checks directly. And again, grants are based on available funding with maximum awards per fiscal year. Our fiscal year resets in July. Does anyone have any examples of adaptive equipment that they might use that are not covered by insurance? And I can tell you if we have covered one before.
So I actually had a quick question. Sorry, it wasn't letting me raise my hand or anything. It's my computer.
That's
Not sure if this falls under adaptive equipment. I had a family reach out to me asking if I knew of any actual funding resources for a fence, I believe, for their backyard and everything to make sure two children are on the spectrum and everything. So they were wondering like if there are any funds, and honestly, I did not think of any that would be, able to cover. Is that something that this would work for potentially?
Yes, that is something we could cover if a healthcare professional sees it would help keep the children safe. That
Oh,
reminds me, another thing we have covered before are bathroom renovations.
okay, thank you so
Handicap
much.
accessible. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. It's a good question.
We have
All right.
another question in the chat, but we will wait till the end to answer that. So just want to let you know, we'll get to your question.
More details on bill types because this is a commonly asked questions from both healthcare professionals and families who reach out. So these are some examples of recently paid bills that I have approved of. Again, for adaptive equipment, mobility aids, handicap accessible renovations, hearing aids, communication tools like the talking iPads that children use. I would say overall housing and utilities are probably the most popular, which is understandable given the cost of things. And if, for example, some of our funding is grant specific in that we can only use it to pay certain types of bills. And the majority of our funding is housing and utilities. So we have a very quick turnover rate with those types of bills. So, for example, even if we have an application submitted for handicap accessible renovations and the rest of the application have the age and other requirements, I might reach back out to you and say, hi, right now we don't have funds to provide for handicap accessible renovations. However, we can provide the same amount of funding for another bill type for that family. And so we can be flexible and moving around money in that way. Things that are not accepted are credit card bills, Amazon orders, T-Mobile, Boost, or Philadelphia Housing Authority. That is simply because we have had over a long period of time many difficulties of bills not being received and unclear payments. And then in the end, it's very important that we're able to track where our funds go and support as many families as possible. So we do not accept those anymore. But again, you're welcome to submit a different bill type. Another frequently asked question for financial assistance is like I said earlier, sorry, my lights just went out. 1 second. Okay. I created my account and logged into the portal, but there's nowhere to create a new application. What does that mean? It means that we're on a temporary hold and not taking any new applications. It opens and closes based on available funding. And we are first come, first serve. Because of that, there's no notification that's sent out when we reopen. You will just have to log back in and check. It takes 2 seconds to log in. And yeah, that pretty much sums that up. So our respite care, which, is super fun. Quick correction. We actually changed this date to April 13th, so I will definitely edit that in the version. That is a recent edit. But we have the Spirit of Philadelphia City Cruise, which is on a boat. There is brunch included, and families are all welcome, including siblings. And that goes for all of our respite care. I think that makes us unique in a way, is that we recognize families who have children who are not medically stable cannot commit to all social events, especially ahead of time. So with that being said, if you're interested in coming to one of our family fun days, for example, we offered Villanova men's basketball tickets this past week. We accept that you can leave the child with the medical diagnosis at home with a professional or loved one and have a day of family and carefreeness with siblings, because we understand that there's just as much stress and they deserve relaxation as well. Of course, the Spirit of Philadelphia cruise is tailored for handicap accessibility, and any tickets you may get, we can always arrange to be handicap accessible for children who directly benefit from our mission. But again, we are open to being flexible with who receives that respite care, because we understand everyone in the family is impacted. We also offer quarterly support groups via Zoom. They used to be in person, but since COVID, we have switched over and received good feedback from that. The topics can vary, and typically how it happens is I send out a mass email to every healthcare professional registered with us and ask them to share it with their clients that they work for. Clients then can RSVP if they're interested in attending, and in that RSVP can suggest topics that they would like me to cover. And I will kind of, based on what the general population wants, tailor what the support group talks about. But it also can be a great place for resource sharing amongst caregivers. Our last one, there was a lot of referrals amongst cleaning ladies, which was really great. People who were able to work around schedules and had really good reviews. So that's a nice thing to kind of have, like a trusted resource being shared from mom to mom or caregiver to caregiver. And that QR code you can use to RSVP if you're interested. And lastly, we do education, resources, and advocacy. So with this is, if you don't match our mission and you give us a call, we will try to find an organization who can support you. We can either do that by over the phone and sharing phone numbers, or we will send you an email. For example, we have a middle school that does major fundraising for us every year. And my first month here, actually, I got a call, and it was from a now father who attended this middle school when he was younger. He had since moved, but his son was diagnosed with a very, very rare genetic disorder. And he said, I don't know who to turn to. I don't know where to go, but I know that the Kelley and Dolan Memorial Fund is non-disease specific, and I was hoping that you guys could help me. And we were able to send him a page of resources for financial and support groups in his area, because he did not fit our geographic locations, and we were able to connect him with other social workers and healthcare professionals who were in that specific realm of diagnosis. So that is something that we do. We also work with schools, businesses, to promote inclusivity and thoughtful interactions. In the bottom right picture, you can see that is a picture of one of our Funny Feet walks, the reading portion. So for little elementary schools, we do Funny Feet walks where the kids raise money for each lap that they do. And then we also will tailor what book we read as a part of it. For example, and the school will get to pick which book if they have a preference. So sometimes there are books written by children who have Down syndrome, and some, for example, another book we could do, it could be about how to treat your classmate who may be losing their hair because of a cancer diagnosis. So trying to create that dialogue with kids about being kind and inclusive to everyone, no matter what they're going through. Lastly, we have our Thanksgiving and holiday support. These are two separate programs, but they are run very close together. And so you can often submit as a healthcare professional at the same time applications for them. Our Thanksgiving baskets are complete with turkeys and or turkey vouchers, and we try to cover more than just Thanksgiving dinner. So we'll provide like oatmeal, kind of breakfast, lunch, and dinner for at least, I want to say about a week's worth of food. We get pretty big baskets for that. So if you are signing up as a healthcare professional for both of these, it's really important to remember that we ask you to deliver them. So, for example, for Thanksgiving baskets, I was driving around with turkeys in my car to meet up with healthcare professionals. And same thing for holiday support. We do gift cards and we require that the healthcare professional distributes them because we have tried mailing before and they get lost in the mail. It's very hard to confirm if the family actually got them. And so it just helps clear up any miscommunications in advance. With that being said, I am assuming most of you on here are local, but definitely keep that in mind. And we will be based in Chestnut Hill as in a week. We are moving offices. So that is something to keep in mind. And I can also detail that in this presentation when I send it to you guys. And that sums up our programs that we have. Thank you for listening, and I am more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. I can start with the one in the chat, I believe, if I can find how to open the chat. Sorry.
Lauren, that's okay. This is Steve from, I'm a speech therapist over here at Woods in the Gardner School, and I was asking about an eye gaze communication device. So have
Yes,
you had experience or any submissions for, I guess, communication devices in general, and specifically an eye gaze device?
we have not had submissions for specifically an eye gaze device, but that is a type of bill that we would cover.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yes.
The next question is, do you attend a lot of transition or resource fairs?
So we do as a company. However, that would be my coworker, Linda Bean, who is our community engagement manager. So I could provide a list of resource fairs that we frequent if that's something you're interested in. I cannot name them off the top of my head.
Any other questions? Feel free to come off mute if you'd like or drop them in the chat. Okay. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions, but thank you, Lauren. We really appreciate you coming today. So what we will do, everyone, is that we are going to send a follow-up email with Lauren's presentation. So that way you can reach out to her directly, or you can reach out to Mary Ellen Brogan, who is our Senior Director of Special Projects here at Woods. And yeah, thank you all for coming so much. We really appreciate it. And thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. I really hope that you can use our program and let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Lauren. That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.